Here we go.
Right here. Check. I'm all nervous because Shay's in here now. You want to sing along? Sing easy one. Easy. Morning, everybody. God by many names, love from many hearts. Sometimes you don't have to hide, you're perfect as you are. You're already not alone. Welcome home. God by many names, love from many hearts. Come inside, you don't have to hide, you're perfect as you are. You're already not alone. Welcome home. God by many names, love from many hearts. Come inside, you don't have to hide, you're perfect as you are. You're already not alone. You're already not alone. Welcome home. Morning, everybody. I just learned that song. So we have a special treat today. We have a little group that we call ourselves the Joy Singers, because we make a joyful noise. And we will be performing with the St. George Interfaith Council Choir this coming Saturday. And I think all the information for that is in the newsletter, where you can find it. So this is our last rehearsal before the big day.
Yes.
Yes.
I forgot the instrument. Our first public performance.
Sorry. Too loud, isn't it? No. Take a look at the person next to you. They'll recognize God in you. There's the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. We come together in the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. 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 We come together in the name of love. We come together. We come together. We come together. We come color,
every creed and color,
together we unite. In honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. They are recognized about you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together.
we come together,
We come together.
we come together,
Together.
we come together in the name of love.
We come together.
We come together, we come together, we come together in the name of love.
We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. We come together.
We come together, we come together, we come together in the name of love.
Good job.
Check, 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 check. Mic, please. There we go. Let's another round of applause for our Joy Singers. I'm sure they will be fantastic this coming Saturday at the Interfaith celebration. Good morning, St. George. How are we doing? Good. All right, I know it's Super Bowl Sunday, but come on. Good morning, St. George. Actually, I'm happy with this attendance because I know in America, religion, the number one religion is the NFL. So it's nice to see this many people. Hi to everybody online. Welcome. Do you want to take a time to welcome anybody that's here for the first time? So is there anybody that would like to be recognized? You don't have to do it, Julie. It's all right. You are here for the first time? Oh, you look so familiar. That's why I was talking to you like I knew you earlier. So what did
Well, I was.
would you like to share your, oh, that's where it was. You were online. Yes, well, I was so, yeah, but I remember that. It was great. So that's why it's so important to meet on our Zoom afterwards. So welcome. Will you share your name if you don't mind?
Diana.
Diana, welcome. Yes, excellent. We had a great conversation with you. That was wonderful. Anybody else? Would you like to stand up and just share your name? You don't have to.
Yeah, my name is Shauna Lynn.
Shauna Lynn, welcome. And how did you hear about us? This great guy next to you. Well, thank you.
Whatever his name is.
Whatever. He's a
Sorry,
quiet
on the
one.
street, just picked her up on the way in.
I know how it feels, right, Julia? So welcome. I don't know if you know, but we do have we hand out our previous magazines from Science of Mind. Obviously, they won't. Oh, you got one. Excellent, excellent. Just some great articles in there. And if you're not sure about us, I don't know if it's on the same page every month, but right in the beginning is the what we believe, and that may help you understand who we are and what we believe. Is there anybody else? Excellent. Yes. Hi, ma'am. Good morning.
Hi, I'm Kathy Brown. I'm the director of the Interfaith Choir.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Well, good thing I
Welcome.
did over here.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for saying that after they sang. Well, we're going to have another performance, so we're good. We just warmed up for you. Okay, so we are now going to do music. Or we're doing Flames of Faith. Sorry, there we go. You got that. Yes, sir. Okay, so this time we're going to move into our Flames of Faith ceremony, and this is where we take a moment to pause and reflect. We believe in wholeness and oneness, and that there are infinite paths to what we call God, Source, or the Creator. And so we're going to take a moment to do just that. And during the pauses, what I ask you to do is just take a breath collectively together as we honor them. So, we perform the Flames of Faith ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all things, all beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. We first light the unity candle, which represents the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for Christianity, honoring Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance and the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle acknowledging religious science and all forms of new thought, the metaphysical path of mental healing through practice of universal spiritual principle. We light the next candle for inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome here, including those who have not yet found their faith. We now light the healing candle and invite you to silently offer into the light the names of loved ones, knowing that they are now the perfect expression of Spirit's eternal wholeness and love. And please join me in affirming, and so it is.
So it is.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, I know. I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
I invite you to either close your eyes or keep them awake. I'm going to or keep them open, to just relax as I bring this service into the Lord.
Yes, Lord?
There is only one mind filled with joy, and that mind is my mind. And because I know this is true for myself, I know this is true for each and every one of us sitting here. This joy, this enthusiasm, this acceptance, this beautiful transformation that is occurring in and around and through each and every one of us is the perfect place to be right here and right now. I know that this is a perfect place for me in life right now, because I know this for each and every one of you. And so, knowing this and setting this in gratitude before the divine, I accept it, I live it, and I know it as the truth. As together we say, yes, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Star. I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place. I will make a quiet place. I would like to invite Star back to offer our reading for today.
I just finished a book in my book club called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Ow!
And that was dynamite. I had a speech already prepared for today, a reading, and on Friday I switched it because of what this says in the end of his book. Consciousness is already conscious. It is the unmanifested, the eternal, timeless, incomprehensible by the human mind. But we can glimpse it within and become a conscious participant in it. Awakened doing is the next stage in the evolution of consciousness on this planet. The closer we get to the end of our present stage, the more dysfunctional the ego becomes. In the same way, a caterpillar becomes dysfunctional just before it transforms into a butterfly. But the new consciousness is arising even as the old dissolves. There are three modalities of awakened doing. They are acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. These present certain vibrations of consciousness. Be vigilant. I make sure that one of them operates whenever I engage in doing anything at all, from the simplest task to the most complex. If I am not there, I am suffering for myself and others. Acceptance, number one. Acceptance means, for now, this is what this situation, this moment requires me to do, and so I do it willingly. If you can neither enjoy or bring acceptance to what you're doing, stop. Take responsibility for what happens to be the only thing that matters, your state of consciousness. If you don't, you are not taking responsibility for life. Enjoyment. The peace that comes with surrendered action turns to a sense of aliveness when you enjoy what you're doing. Joy is the dynamic aspect of being. Joy does not come from what you do, it flows into what you do, thus into the world from deep within you. That aliveness is one with who you are. Precisely, what you are enjoying is not the outward action, but the inner dimension of consciousness that flows into the action. Don't let it go to your head, because up there is where the ego may be hiding. What is extraordinary is what comes through you into the world. Hafiz expresses this beautifully. I am a hole in a flute that Christ's breath moves through. Listen to the music. And the last is enthusiasm. Wanting to arrive at your goal is stressful. The intensity of enthusiasm has nothing to do with stress. Stress is toxic to the body. Unlike stress, enthusiasm is a high energy frequency and so resonates with the creative process in the universe. Emerson wrote, "Nothing great has ever been achieved without enthusiasm." The word itself comes from the Greek, in and theos, meaning God. And the related word enthusiasm, I don't know how to quite pronounce that, meaning to be possessed by a god. With enthusiasm, you'll find you don't have to do it at all by yourself. Enthusiasm wants nothing because it lacks nothing. It is based on inclusion, not exclusion. Whatever you're doing, make sure it is not an inflated image of yourself, a concealed form of ego. Instead, see yourself as inspiring countless people with your work and enriching their lives. Feel how that activity enriches or deepens not only your life, but others. Make it service to others, including yourself. That is the creative use of mind. Enthusiasm is the power that transforms the mental blueprint into the physical dimension. There's no wanting involved. You cannot manifest what you want. You can only manifest what you already have. Jesus said, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours.
Thank you, Star. Whoa, Star. So what do you think? You want to work on some of that enthusiasm stuff? Might throw some enthusiasm. What was that? Enthusiasm? Everybody's got a smile for the world. Yeah, everybody's got a smile for the world. You gotta let it shine bright now, that's what it's for. Now there ain't no sense in crying when life has got you down. No, there ain't no sense in crying when life has got you down. Just put a smile on your face and turn your world around. Hey, everybody's got a smile for the world. Yeah, everybody's got a smile for the world. You gotta let it shine bright now, and that's what it's for. Now when you feel like something's missing in your day today, when you feel like something's missing in your day today, yeah, just put a smile on your face. You're gonna chase those blues away. Hey, everybody's got a smile for the world. Yeah, everybody's got a smile for the world. You gotta let it shine bright now, 'cause that's what it's for. Everybody's got a smile for the world. You've got to let it shine brightly, 'cause that's what it's for.
One more time for Mr. Alan Stanley, ladies and gentlemen. Well done, well done. High energy. I appreciate that, Alan. Bringing me up here. Wonderful reading, Star. Where'd you go?
All right.
That was long and worth it.
It was.
I felt like that was the entire talk, and I'm still contemplating. Right? So that's good. If you got the minister thinking about what you just said. So, good morning, everybody. I see some more people joined us, so thank you and welcome. Thank you. Was that me rubbing? Or am I just hearing something else? Am I rubbing? Honey, you'll tell me. No? We're good? Let me know. All right. No beard rubs. I can't hear my own beard rub. So, speaking of uncomfortability, that's what we're going to be talking about more this month. Lessons in uncomfortability. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't been this uncomfortable in a while to give a talk just because of how uncomfortable this week has made me. And so I asked you to pay attention, and I'm almost curious, and I want to hear from you later about if you've really done that and how you've handled it, because we're going to dive into more about how we're dealing with that uncomfortability. This week we're going to kind of focus on the idea that once we get through that uncomfortability, that's what leads to transformation. Now, it sounds so nice and so simple. Just keep it on, and it's right there for you, and everything's going to come up roses, and that's not how this week has been for me whatsoever. And yet, what keeps me simply guided and on task are the principles and practices that we talk about all the time with our philosophy here. And the power to transform our lives really lies in the willingness for us to step outside our comfort zone and through that uncomfortability. And in that process, we're embracing the unknown. And how many people know that ego of ours, does it like the unknown? No, it does not. So the comfort zone really represents for us a state of familiarity, where it's habitual, it's routine. We can do it with our eyes closed, which is why we're so comfortable. And in order to get through that, we have to have the courage to be willing to expand. Now, of course, there's areas in our lives that are a little easier to expand than others. It's a little easier, for example, being a school counselor, for someone to change my schedule as different someone to all of a sudden swap out a mate. Right? If all of a sudden a relationship ends, you're uncomfortable. Why? Because I don't know what to expect now. And then the whole uncomfortability about getting somebody new, and is that going to work out? And we just heard a great reading on that stress that we bring into everything. So again, it's by stepping outside our comfort zone that we really open ourselves up to something new. Now raise your hand if you would like to experience something new in your life in one area or another. That is what the burning desire is. It's always going to be there. Life is forever unfolding itself in, through, and as our life, and that's what we call God. God is life expanding. And it's expanding uniquely through every one of us. How? No idea. I just know that it works to a degree that I allow it to work. And that is one of the secrets of our success, is it will only work for us as we allow it to work through us. And the it is a capital I-T. That's God, that's Spirit, that's Source. So again, by embracing discomfort and uncertainty, we get to expand not only our experiences, but our perspectives, which then deepens our understanding of the journey, of the experience, and cultivate a greater sense of self-mastery. And I don't know if we ever get there first. I think at some point we know ourselves kind of the best in the moment, but we know the moment is forever now and forever unfolding. So that's why it's so important kind of to be comfortable being uncomfortable, recognizing that it's happening for our greater good, our greater expansion, because we don't really have a choice. Life is going to change, period. What just came to me was being from Las Vegas, our amazing Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup, and then 2 weeks later traded one of the key players. And now you're like, oh, it's all right, it's my team. And then you're like, oh, but now it's different. And we have no control over what that's like. And now that's a different feeling. I got to get comfortable with that. And now that's an easy one. Let's get more personal. And it gets a little more difficult. So one of the things we have to do in order to get comfortable is to learn to overcome our limiting beliefs and our self-imposed boundaries. So sometimes we're aware of those limiting beliefs, and sometimes we're not. They usually show up through what we call resistance. I'm trying to do something, I'm having fun, and there's a little resistance. We feel it. And there's also the opposite side, which is we're not feeling it, and all of a sudden it just shows up. And it shows up in what we call a negative way. And I shared some of the ones that happened on the negative side with me last week. And we get to choose to transform or not. Sometimes we're just not ready. Sometimes it's too big of an ask. But even in that, that's taking a step. It's exposing ourselves to something new. There's always that opportunity to go, yeah, I know that over there, that's so much better than what I'm doing now. But I get about here, and it's too much. And then on top of that, what happens? What do we do when it feels too much and we go inside our own mind too tightly? You can share it.
Talk ourselves out of it.
Say again?
Talk ourselves out of it.
We talk ourselves out. We beat ourselves up. We shame ourselves. We guilt ourselves. So why couldn't you? Oh, you're spiritual. What's your problem? Don't you believe in God? How could you not? You know that's better. And there goes that infinite internal dialogue until we stop it. And that's again where our practices come in. What's the easiest way to slow down or stop our mind? The easiest way?
Breathe.
That's it. Take a breath. And practitioners, we go through 4 years of schooling to find out all we have to do is just breathe. So, living outside our comfort zone is challenging, and believe it or not, the more we practice it, the more we get used to it. Now, if you told me 3 years ago, standing up here would be, quote, this easy, I wouldn't believe you. I remember the first talk I gave in ministerial school, and it wasn't the best compared to what I'm doing now, and yet I'll look back years from now and go, I've evolved, I've transformed. You have to watch yourself. I remember the biggest feedback was I kept doing this, and I didn't know it. And I finally figured out it was a matter of simplicity. So I had to drive to LA to take the class, and I was sleeping on a friend's couch, and that couch was just not that comfortable. And so that was the shoulder I slept on, and I was always trying to just loosen that thing up during talks. So you just never know. Now we can turn that into a joyful moment, but in the moment I'm like, wait, what? And then I watched the video and I think I was a puppeteer. I just also just jerked around. And I have no clue. Right? We're not conscious until we're aware of things. I want to share our first quote, and got through all that. So this is Ernest Holmes. He says, "We do not change all the patterns of our thought in a moment. Rather, it takes place little by little until gradually the old thought patterns become transformed in new ones by inner alchemy of the mind, the operation of which we do not see, but the manifestation of which we experience." So it is a day-by-day process, and we should, hopefully, before you go to bed, spend a minute and review your day. And celebrate those successes, celebrate the accomplishments. Even if you didn't get to, quote, the goal, you're taking a step towards it. I remember Wayne Dyer used to share that thinking about the problem is still working out the problem. You're still on that path until you eventually see through the problem and you see what you're trying to experience. So we can only create to the degree, again, that our mind can hold an idea of what it is, whether it's a thing or an experience, that we're seeking or wanting to have. Now, what is that special word, that idea in the mind of God? I haven't said it in a while. It's a science of mind term. It starts with the word mental. Equivalent, right? Equal. So in other words, Am I willing? I put this dream out there. Can I hold that dream in my mind with confidence, with enthusiasm, as our reading was sharing? That is what allows us to continue to walk through the journey of uncomfortability. You know, think about it. Abraham, the teachers of Abraham use a great example all the time is, if I'm driving from Las Vegas to LA, okay, there's no uncomfortability if I'm driving and I technically can't see LA, but I keep going because I know that it's there, right? It's a lot easier with navigation. I can tell you, growing up without it, I used to freak out all the time just driving somewhere new. I know it's there, but am I on the right path? And there goes the ego, and I can tell you to this day, I never go far enough. I freak out so much, I always end up pulling off of directions, and they always say every time, it's just around the corner. So, once again, how is it that we know we have a limiting belief? That energy that is God within us. Okay? Our emotions are simply letting us know whether we're kind of walking the walk that we choose, that we say we want, or we're off. We're not allowing it to happen. And in order for transformation to occur, we must change. And change is obviously risky. Quote of the week by Rumi. He says, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. And do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know that the side you are used to is better than the one to come?" So that's where, in Science of Mind and New Thought, we say, I want this or something better. That leaves us open to, okay, I'm thinking from this point of view, from what I know. That's ego. Ego only operates on what it knows. I'm becoming uncomfortable or excited and enthused in what it is that I want that is not yet noticeable. We use the word manifestation. It hasn't created yet. There may not even be a path. I may not even know where to start. But our mind is that creative playground of the divine. And it's so hard to stay in there sometimes. I don't know about you, but I got a lot of enemies in my playground. And they just want to kick me out and tell me how logical I should be. And it's tough. And so expanding one's boundaries and seeking new experiences, it's a matter of taking that first step. For my new students that come into my school, I have a quote on the wall. And it basically talks about, says, to paraphrase, one day the mountain that is in front of you will be so far behind you, it will be barely visible. But the person you become, right, in order to get over it, you will never forget, and that is the point of the mountain. And so I ask them what it means to them, and most of them will come up with the idea that what's sitting, because I work at a school where they're already behind, that they have a mountain of work to do, a mountain of credits, and so on and so forth. And then I ask them, and how do you get up a mountain? And then none of them say one step at a time. They don't appreciate each moment, each class, each assignment. I tell them, each assignment you do, you never have to do again. And they're like amazed by that. Like, really? Like they just, you get stuck in that routine of, I'm going to sit here and someone's always going to give me more to do, so why should I even try? So sometimes we have to be shaken out of our comfortability. And sometimes we have to be drawn through that change. And what I know to be true is something or someone is always provided. Why? Because there's nothing outside of God. And so I don't have to figure out the how, and I keep shouting this within my mind. Joe, stop trying to figure out the how. And I've shared with you over the last several months of how my sponsor keeps telling me, Joe, stop trying to figure it all out. But it's a habit, and it's a long-standing habit. And in many ways, I, in a sense, pay the price, and in other ways, I get to reap the rewards as I continue on. More Ernest Holmes. He says, I lost my spot here. There was supposed to be a slide back. I did, okay, thank you. So one of the way that I affirm to help me realize I don't have to take care of the how and just feel good, is this is a quote out of Science of Mind. And it's just an affirmation that I stick on my computer, and it says, good and more good is mine, and ever increasing good is mine. There is no limit to the good which is mine. I feel it, I experience it. It crowds itself against me, flows through me, expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me. And there's not a time when I get done reading that I don't feel good and aligned with whatever it is that I'm seeking to experience. And sometimes it's just a shift. Right? Take a picture of that one, you're going to want it. Go back and snapshot it. We are affirming. We're saying yes to what is good in our lives. And then there's resistance, and there's always resistance. And resistance comes from one main feeling, which is what? Fear. Let's talk about fear for a moment. Ernest Holmes says, fear is a belief in limitation, a denial that the divine is the center and the source of all good. We must do all in our power to overcome it. How do we overcome it? We focus on the truth. We spend time in our minds quietly accepting what is, accepting ourselves. So this is a universal feeling. We know what it is, but too often we're programmed to just quit. And I don't know anybody who's ever quit that truly feels good in the sense of giving up on something that you really, really want. Another quote on fear, more Ernest Holmes. He says, fear brings limitation and lack in its wake and destroys the happiness and possibility of a greater degree of livingness to those who suffer from it. Fear blocks the more complete givingness of the Spirit to its highest form of manifestation on this planet, which is humankind. So what we're simply saying is that feeling of fear is us kind of damming up the natural flow of spirit. Say, hey, I want this. What does it feel like? If it feels like this, and then we go, yeah, but if that doesn't work out, but, and all the judgments. Mostly it's fear comes from thoughts of judgment. And I really want to hammer this idea of fear home and looking at it from different ways. Now this quote comes from Thomas Troward. If you don't know, Holmes was a student of Troward and really got into his work. He was a British fellow. So Thomas, he says, belief in limitation is the one and only thing that causes limitation. Because, and so let me stress that again, belief in limitation is the one and only thing that causes limitation, because we thus impress limitation upon the creative principle, our mind, and in proportion as we lay that belief aside, our boundaries will expand and increasing life and more abundant blessings will be ours. So it's the work that we again have to do within ourselves. If I'm feeling uncomfortable, if I'm feeling that fear, especially when, it's hard when it's right in front of us. It can be real. When I'm saying real is not something that's life-threatening, but real in the what if. Right? There's a real what if. We have to train our minds to see through that. Yes, that is a possibility. But what I know to be true, that is, how many times do we get the chance to choose? Infinitely. This is an infinite mind. So that's one. Why do we choose to focus on that outcome? So much so that it continues to recreate itself in our lives. So I want to share a little bit with you, and I'm actually going to pause and sit down because it was a pretty amazing conversation I had with my sponsor, Reverend Judy Morley. Hi, if you're watching. I love Reverend Judy. She's Italian, and she talks to me like I need to be talked to. Which is straightforward, just shut up and listen. And it's not often that I'm speechless, but she got me good on this past Monday. And so we're talking. We hadn't talked in a few months just because of the way things unraveled, scheduling-wise and so forth. And she's giving of her time freely, so I don't argue and I don't complain. And it's funny because I do have a little trepidation before those meetings, and it's almost like I never know why, but I do know why. It's because I know she's going to hammer me on some point or another. And there's that part of me that really wants it, because my attitude is if there's something holding me down, cut that cord, throw it overboard, let it go. I don't want it to be mine anymore. And then there's a side of me that, well, I got to deal with it first. I got to look at it first. And so I was talking to her about a little bit about everything and how things are just pretty chaotic in my life and overall positive, but just very, very busy, having 2 children, a full-time job, a part-time job, and then just trying to work on my own self. And I was noticing how, this June is going to be 2 years since I've been hired. And when asked how long, thank you. And it's no surprise, what am I saying to say? I've said it before that I have a little guilt about not being here already. I thought it would have worked out much easier, much quicker, and it hasn't. And there's these thoughts in my head and so on. And so I was sharing her all the reasons why maybe I'm not here. And, I'm trying to get a job, and I tried to log into the Utah Department of Education, and they kicked me out. It took 2 weeks to get back in, which is really ironic because the thing they said finally not to do is what got me back in. And then I try to pull up the list of job openings, and that doesn't work. The whole website's broke, and I keep trying to tell them that, and they don't understand that. So, and I'm telling her about this, and she's like, "You're doing it again, basically." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You're trying too hard." She said, "Do you enjoy when you log in and look for jobs?" I go, "Well, sometimes, I'm like, I want there to be a job, but I also know, there's lack and limitation. There's not a lot of, I go into all the logical stuff. And she says, "Why aren't you there already?" And I said, "Well, I got to get a job." And I go into all these, hello, I can't just uproot my family. I have to be responsible. I'm a father. I'm the provider, yada, yada, yada. And then she said something that just began to rock my world, which is, what if you're using your sense of responsibility as an excuse for not trusting God? Can you feel the silence? That hurt. Because here I am thinking, and I'm not saying I 100% agreed with her in the moment, because my ego was like, screw you initially, and but I sat with it. And that's something that I don't always do. I usually try to defend myself. That's my old habit of being uncomfortable. I'm going to put up a wall for you. And then she said something that floored me even more was, what if you just chose today that you're going to move, no matter what? You said that this summer would be the best summer for you to move. Your son's going to the Marines. Your daughter's not, making that switch from middle school to high school. What if you just decided you were going to move? And when she said that, I almost felt like I jumped off a cliff. Because I'm like, because every sense of responsibility was shouting at me. How could you do that? How could you just, and what if? What are your parents going to say? You're 54, you're moving without a job yet? What do you end up in my basement again, But I'm being as real as I can. These are all thoughts, and I'm sitting there not speaking out loud, because, and yet, I sat there long enough to feel that feeling of enthusiasm is what happened. Eventually I was like, okay, well, if I was there, I wouldn't have to drive an hour and 45 minutes once a month. But, back in December when I stayed up here for the whole weekend, that felt amazing. I shared that with you. I was part of the community. It finally felt like that. Oh, that's going to feel amazing. And my daughter's going to find, her perfect school, and that'll let my mind. Then it was like, yeah, but you don't have a job. That was the loud voice in my head. And so I'm going to be honest with you, I'm still sitting with that. I shared it with my wife immediately. I couldn't contain that, because it was like I was terrified and super excited at the same time. And I know those things don't seem to mix, but it was like right down the middle. And she kind of laughed, because she's like, isn't that how we usually do things? Those things we just kind of on a whim go and trust and so on and so forth. And she shared her fears of look, it's logical. And I'm not saying to walk down or jump off a bridge and hope you can fly. But at the same time, if you remember my talk from last week, one of my spiritual counselors said at one point, so you don't effing trust God, when I was spouting off again. And here it was. And you know what she said almost word for word to me? So you don't trust God. Is that what I'm hearing? And it rang like a bell. I'm like, I'm blanking on, she said to me another direct quote that I shared with you last week. So this is Monday, meaning it was a day after I gave that talk, and it was smacking me all around. So change, it's real. It's not always fun. It's incredibly challenging, scary, and exhilarating, and isn't that what life is? when I look back and I think about how no matter how hard it's ever gotten, I'm sitting pretty darn good right now. It's always turned out for the better. Going back to that good, and more good is mine. That helps. It helps me remember that. So I'm going to ask you, in essence, to believe that with me. Can you tell me what time it is, please? Fun?
11:50.
50, okay, good. So I want to share with you, and it's going to be kind of quick, but it's actually part of a workshop that I do. And it's kind of one of the things that I go back to shift my awareness out of fear and back into, I have to double click that for some reason, okay. So back in the 1800s, most of us should know Emerson's name, and he would gather around with some other luminaries and talk about how to make things better. How can life be better? Emerson read in the Bible where Jesus said that, even greater things that you can do, greater things than I have done you can do. And so they started these talks, and they became something known as the Concord, because they were in Concord, Conversations. And at the time, his handyman was none other than Henry David Thoreau. And he would sit on the outside of the porch and listen in, and eventually they let him in. And if you don't know, he wrote the book Walden. And so what he chose to do, he didn't want to just talk about feeling good. He said, I want to live it and live deliberately. And so for 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days, he lived out just in a cabin by himself on Emerson's property. And he thought and he wrote. And he has a quote that he came up with in the book I want to share with you. And I'm going to break it down. It's kind of long. But he says, I have learned this, at least by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of their dream, endeavoring to live the life they are imagining, one passes an invisible boundary. All sorts of things begin to occur that never otherwise would have occurred. One begins to meet with a success unexpected in common hours. New, more universal, more liberal laws begin to establish themselves around this person, or the old laws are rearranged in one's favor. Nevertheless, one begins to live with the license of a higher order of being. And so I'm just going to take this little by little and break it down. So he says, I have learned that if one advances confidently. And the main point about this is you don't have to do it. Right? I realize I don't have to believe Reverend Judy, and maybe my truth is somewhere in the middle of that. But it's a choice. We initiate ourselves into this journey. And as they say, some people live 90 years and some people live 90 years one time, or 1 year 90 times. So, in other words, do I want to keep keeping on the same thing that I'm doing over and over again, living in fear, having a dream of living here and having a full-time center, or do I want to make it happen? They say, I'll go back to advancing confidently. Confidently takes action, not just thought. It starts in the mind. Sooner or later, we have to be willing to do something about it. Now, this is a picture of fear, because it's going to come up, and it's going to continue to come up. But what will eventually happen is the dragon that's in front of you, just like that mountain, will be smaller and smaller and smaller until it is behind you, and it's no longer a threat. We don't perceive it as a threat. Hopefully, because we believe in the one power more that we call God or Spirit, than putting that energy into the problem. So it says, living it in the direction of your dreams. So this is where, too, I want you to, and I have to remind myself, to stay open to this or something greater. What does that mean? I go to the lengths of imagining my house and the size and the lot and where it is and what it feels like. This or something greater, meaning leave it open to the Grand Master of life to say, hey, right now, this is what's perfect for you. And then I have to allow that through me. So endeavoring to live the life they are imagining. So endeavoring means obviously to attempt, to make an effort. Again, we have to do this. We don't have to do it perfectly, though. And that's also where I tend to not want to start, because I don't know what it looks like, which means I'm gonna fail. I don't like failing, so then I just don't do it. And the feeling of not doing it is often lesser, slightly, than the feeling of failing until I switch my mind around. Does that make sense? So in other words, at first I give the power to failing, like that's the worst thing it ever could be. But then when I finally do that, I realize I wasn't anywhere near as bad as I thought it was gonna be. And so that kind of gives me the confidence to move on. And then they say to remember to put our dream on, almost like a coat, right? When we buy a new coat, no matter new, it's gorgeous, it looks good on us, but it's not ours yet, right? We have to wear it several times, many times, maybe a year before you put it on and you don't even know it's on. We have to do that mentally with the dream that we want to have. And then he says, eventually we pass an invisible boundary. Now, I think I've kind of done that, but I keep jumping back like a tennis match, meaning I felt the excitement. I felt the thrill of the dream. I felt it. I experienced it. I passed that boundary, and then I kind of still go back to fear. And I have to allow myself to do that too. That's part of the journey that we're all on, no matter what it is. Sometimes we have choices about the change, and it's still not necessarily easy. So, by passing the invisible boundary again, we have to do something different. And it starts with thinking differently. And then finally he says, it happens in unexpected hours. Meaning a kind of, what's the quote in the Bible where we know not the time or the place. Like, that's not our job. Our job is to keep walking in that direction until it shows up, both mentally and physically. So we don't know exactly when, just like when you plant a seed, no scientist can say that's going to come through the soil at this day. It's just not possible. And who cares in the end? If it ends up like I want or better, that's what I'm looking to experience. And this conversation I'm having with you is the one that I have with myself all the time to pep myself up, to stay on track, to keep moving on. And then it talks about how eventually old laws are rearranged in one's favor. So, what does that mean? Like, I'm not the one that's going to do the rearranging. Again, I have to trust the natural law, God, to eventually do this for me. Because why? Because God is all things, all people, all now, infinite. So why am I spending my time still, other than being a habit, of trying to figure out the when, the where, and the how? I feel so much better just trusting. And the best time for that is, again, when I'm meditating. I get out of my head. So eventually we begin to live with a license of a higher order of being. How many people remember when you first got your driver's license, if you have? It was like a whole new world. You can go somewhere. It was like limitless. And this is a higher order of being, and yet there's still more. That's the amazing part. You get to your dream, and it's a whole new perspective. Which immediately does what? You start thinking about more. Something new. And that's not wrong. That's natural evolution. More. From the mountaintop. What else can I see? What else can I experience? So the problem is never in the problem. The problem is always in the what about the problem.
Solution, perception.
Thoughts.
Thinking. Right? So what are our thoughts and feelings, I will say, about the problem? That's what keeps us in the now of discontent, of uncomfortability. So, last couple of quotes here. I have to look at his name to say it correctly. Forgive me. Sagadaru Yagi Yasudev. That's how you say it. Transformation means nothing of the old should remain, something absolutely new should happen. That's kind of how you know you've made it. It's different in some way, somehow. And finally, in the end, whatever we're really trying to experience ends up really being an expression of love. And Marianne Williamson has a lot of great quotes. She says, the spiritual journey is the relinquishment of fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. Love is the essential existential fact. It is our ultimate reality and our purpose on earth. To be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others, is the meaning of life. Yes? Okay. We do have an affirmation I want to share, and I ask you to affirm this with me. So obviously it says, I embrace change and feel the magic of transforming my life. I'm going to ask that we all stand up. I want you to take a deep breath with me. Release the stress. Release the fear. And on 3, we're going to shout this. I won't shout it into the mic. 1, 2, 3.
I embrace change and feel the magic of transforming my life.
And so it is.
So it is.
All right, close the have a seat, please. And let's just close with a little more affirmations of affirmative prayer. And when we know that our life is magical, we trust that our life is transforming right in the way that it should, specifically for us. Why? Because I, as I speak in the first person, trust that which I call God. There are infinite examples of how life is always supporting me, supporting this center. So I cast and hold my thoughts on the positivity. I recognize the good with a capital G that is in my life, that is forever in my life, and I choose that good as it comes. And then I get to share that good with others. For it is not mine to hold too long. I believe in the dreams that are in my mind, and I hold them as possible. I let go of the how, and I open my mind to this or something greater. I hold this center in my heart and in my mind, for all that it serves, for each individual, for the community, as a community, and the community at large. I recognize this infinite power, this presence that is life, that speaks to me and shares with me the path that is for my best and highest good. And I know it does. That voice is perfect and intricate and intimate for everyone listening now and always. For it is the only thing that is happening. This is God's life, and God is not a separate being out there. God is all of it. So as I feel, I am feeling a portion of what I call God. For as I think, I am thinking with and in the mind of God. There is only one. And I open myself to taking a step today towards the dream, the change, through the uncomfortability, with faith and with trust. With faith and with trust. For there is truly nothing to fear. I know this because as I go within, as I take a breath right now, it was provided for. I didn't have to fear at all. And so therefore, I just know that is how life shows up. And I know that I am never doing this, quote, alone. I have a whole community. I have a whole world. I have God that supports me. Life is truly good and magical, and my life is transforming perfectly now. And so it is. Amen.
Wow.
Same. Oh, Aubrey, thank you. I gotta shake myself out of that for a minute. Okay, so talk about transforming. We are continuing to evolve this center, so we're going to have our moment time of offering. We believe in the principle of giving and receiving. So there is a bowl in the middle there. If you would like to make an offering physically, I know some of you give online, and I thank you in advance for that. If you would like to make an offering, you may do so, and there are some affirmation cards. And even if you've already made the offering, you just want to take a card, please do so. Use it for a while, hold it, and then share it. Pass that good feeling on. There are envelopes on the chairs that you can use for that offering. On the envelopes are also there's an opportunity to ask for prayer if you would like so, and as well as to share a testimonial, share a manifestation in your life. And if maybe you would need to share a fear, that's okay. We're going to pray knowing that life is unfolding perfectly for you, and we have our amazing practitioner team to do that. That's what they are trained to do, and that's what we enjoy to do, which is why we spend so much time affirming what we know. So I'm going to ask Alan to play a little ditty while we take time to make the offering, and I'm going to thank you in advance, and then we'll bless it.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
I'm going to ask our practitioner, Star, to bring up the bowl.
Excuse me.
How's everybody doing online? I do want to point out, we were gifted, if you remember back in, was it December?
Yes.
From Tim Martin's community, $500, which we applied towards getting this brand new computer. So I want to thank Tim and his community. All right. So let us, if you don't mind, I believe in energy and focusing energy, so just hold your hands up and know that this money, this offering is well received. We know that it does good work because there's only good to be found. We receive this good, this love, this offering. Excuse me. We receive this love, this offering, and then hold it. We evolve and we give. We give to our home office. We give back to this very community. With the dream in our mind, the mental equivalent that we are in our own center, right here, right now. We are standing on our stage. We are waiting for the band to play in the final song. We are waiting for the next class in the separate room that holds education. We can hear the children playing in their own rooms as they're learning about science of mind in their own perfect way. We hold this and know that this or something greater is happening, and so it is.
So it is.
Okay. It's time for announcements, and who did we ever? I'm doing announcements. Wonderful, that works. Okay, multitasking, I'll take that if you don't mind. Okay, thank you. Let me start by saying Mr. Charles in the back. Charles, raise your hand there, please. So he's our accountant and our financial amazing guru. So it's that time of year, taxes. He emailed all of your receipts, and maybe you should say it's better, but there are some that we didn't have emails for, so we do have paper copies. Go ahead. Is there anything else you want to share?
Just, if you contributed to the center last year in an identified way and did not get an email with a confirmation and a thank you, see me, I probably have it printed here for you. I'd like to be able to present it to you and also to have you fill out a form so we have that information for the future.
And if you're at home online, just email the general email and we'll get it to Charles and we'll take care of you. Okay, what else we got here? I have to look, I'm memorized. Prayer requests. So as we talked about, obviously you can put them on the envelope, or we do have an option on our website that you could contact us for prayer. As we recognize and pray, it is held confidential, and when we receive them as a team, we pause and we pray collectively for what it is that you're seeking in the sense of a God quality. Our next in-person service is not February 11th.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, it's March
10th, I believe.
10.
March 10th. Okay, that's going to be here before you know it. Again, if you haven't already signed up for our newsletter, please do so. There's a lot of information coming forth. If we don't have your email, please provide it. That's the best way to stay up to date. Marina does an amazing job putting our newsletter together, so thank you. Round of applause for Marina. I also want to thank Christy, who's doing tech today. Who jumped in and filled in, and all of our other volunteers. I always want to, we can't operate without you guys. This is a community, and there's not enough of us to do everything, so thank you. All right, if you have any questions, you can email our general email or myself specifically. I'm happy to do that, or you can see me afterwards, or if you have a question about and you're online, you can ask it next week on the Zoom. Actually, I won't be there next week on the Zoom because it's my week off, so you have to hold that. Just thought about that one. Talk to today's practitioner. Okay, so if you would like what we call laser prayer, we have a practitioner in the back of the day, but anyone that you see with the purple stoles is a practitioner, which means they're trained in affirmative prayer. We do have an area back there where you can be alone and receive prayer, and all we ask you to do is keep it short. In other words, what are you looking? What is it that you're looking to receive? Whether it's more money or a healing